Before there were lights, a history of electricity in the U.S. For thousands of years, people all over the world have been fascinated by lightning. Some people must have wondered how to put that kind of power to practical use. But it wasn't until the 18th century that the path to the everyday use of electrical power began to take shape. Maybe you have heard about the famous kite experiment by American founding father and inventor Benjamin Franklin. In 1752, to prove that lightning was electrical, he flew a kite during a thunderstorm. He tied a metal key onto the string and, as he suspected it would, electricity from the storm clouds flowed down the string, which was wet, and he received an electrical shock. Franklin was extremely lucky not to have been seriously hurt during this experiment, but he was excited to have proved his idea. Throughout the next 100 years, many inventors and scientists tried to find a way to use electrical power to make light. In 1879, the American inventor Thomas Edison was finally able to produce a reliable, long-lasting electric light bulb in his laboratory. By the end of the 1880s, small electrical stations based on Edison's designs were in a number of U.S. cities, but each station was able to power only a few city blocks. Although the majority of people living in larger towns and cities had electricity by 1930, only 10% of Americans who lived on farms and in rural areas had electric power. At this time, electric companies were all privately owned and run to make money. These companies argued that it would be too expensive to string miles of electric lines to farms. They also thought the farmers were too poor to pay for electric service. President Franklin D. Roosevelt believed strongly that America's farming areas should have the same access to electricity as cities did. In 1935, the Rural Electric Administration was created to bring electricity to rural areas like the Tennessee Valley. By 1939, the percentage of rural homes with electricity had risen to 25%. The Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, also set up the Electric Home and Farmer Authority to help farmers buy electric appliances like stoves and washing machines. Farm families of that time found that these helpful electric appliances made their lives much easier. Today, Americans' standard of living has risen as nearly everyone has electric power at home, school, and at work. Read more here about life in the valley before electricity and how TVA power changed things for the better. How TVA makes electricity. TVA makes electricity with solar panels, nuclear and fossil power plants, and hydroelectric dams. It also uses wind turbines, methane gas facilities, and combustion turbines. What is electricity and where does TVA get it? When scientists and engineers talk about energy in its simplest form, they mean the ability to do work. Types of energy are stored in different ways. For example, the energy stored in the food you eat allows you to run and jump. If you've spent some time surfing around the TVA Kids website, you already know that producing electricity for people in the 80,000 square mile Tennessee Valley region is one of the TVA's most important jobs. From the refrigerator that keeps your milk cold, to the computer your mom uses at her job, to the power to keep the factories working each day, TVA power keeps the valley running. You may be wondering how TVA produces so much electricity. There are 4 main ways. Fossil plants. TVA burns fossil fuel formed over time in the earth from plants that died long ago, in these plants to make electricity. Coal is the fossil fuel TVA uses most. Nuclear plants. In these plants, TVA uses heat given off when uranium atoms are split to make electricity. Hydroelectric plants. These plants use river water to turn generators and make electricity. Combustion turbines. These plants use gases given off when oil or natural gas is burned to turn turbines that run electric generators. TVA operates 3 nuclear plants, 29 hydroelectric plants, 11 coal-fired plants, 5 combustion turbine plants, and 1 pumped storage hydroelectric plant? Comprehension questions. Number 1. What did Franklin do to the kite string in his experiment? Number 2. Why did he do that? Number 3. What happened that let him know that lightning was actually electrical? Number 4. Who created the first light bulb to channel electricity into light? Number 5. What was wrong with the earliest electrical stations? Number 6. For what 2 reasons did only 10% of American farmers have electricity in the 1930s? Number 7. Which president worked to create the Rural Electric Administration in 1935? Number 8. What does TVA stand for? Number 9. What did the TVA and the Electric Home and Farm Authority help farmers do? Number 10. What do scientists and engineers mean when they say energy? Number 11. Which fossil fuel does TVA use the most to make electricity? Number 12. How do nuclear plants make electricity? Number 13. How do hydroelectric plants use water to make electricity? Number 14. How do combustion turbines work? Number 15. Which type of power plants does TVA use the most to make electricity? And number 16. Why do you think that type is used the most?